The galactic conclave hall shimmered like a floating city of glass and light. Hundreds of alien voices echoed through the chamber, deep growls, high-pitched clicks, and mechanical tones. 30 different species had gathered here, representing the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. And among them stood a small group of humans. At the center was Captain Jack Harrison, wearing the dark blue uniform of the Earth Defense Fleet. His boots felt heavy as he stepped onto the shining floor. He was calm on the outside, but his heartbeat raced like thunder in his chest. Beside him stood Lisa Daniels, his second-in-command. Her sharp eyes scanned the crowd. "Remember, Captain," she whispered, "we're here to make friends, not enemies." Jack nodded slightly. "Let's hope they want the same." It had been only 5 years since Earth had discovered faster-than-light travel. Humanity was young, a child among giants. Most alien species viewed humans as curious newcomers, still learning the rules of the stars. But one species watched them with cold, golden eyes. Across the hall sat the Vicari delegation, tall reptilian beings covered in dark scales that shimmered like metal. Their forearms ended in long, sharp claws. Their leader, General DRA, sat at the center. He was twice Jack's height and looked like a creature carved from stone and hatred. When the conclave speaker, a floating jellyfish-like creature, announced Earth's turn to speak, the crowd quieted. "The human delegation may approach." Jack took a slow breath and stepped forward. The entire hall turned to watch. It was humanity's first formal introduction to the galaxy, and every word mattered. He began his speech with a steady voice. "Honorable members of the Galactic Conclave," he said, "Earth extends its hand in friendship and peaceful cooperation. We come not as conquerors but as learners, ready to share, ready to grow." Murmurs spread through the hall. Some aliens nodded, others made sounds of approval. A few even clapped their strange appendages together. But not General DRA. He stared at Jack with an expression that could freeze stars. Then his voice cut through the air, rough and deep, translated by a small device on his chest. "Peace?" he growled. "You speak of peace, little creature? We have studied your species. You are violent, primitive. You kill your own kind for land and pride. You are nothing but clever animals." The hall went silent. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Lisa tensed, ready to speak, but Jack raised a hand slightly to stop her. He faced DRA calmly, though his jaw tightened. "With respect, General," Jack replied, "we came here to build relationships, not to be insulted." A low hiss escaped DRA's throat. His fellow Vicari warriors laughed, a deep, harsh sound that echoed through the hall. "You think you deserve respect?" DRA said, rising from his seat. His shadow fell over Jack. "Your people have spilled more of your own blood than any other race here. You are short-lived, chaotic, and weak." Jack's voice remained steady, but his eyes hardened. "We've made mistakes, yes," he said, "but we've also learned from them. We seek peace because we've seen enough of war." DRA stepped closer, towering over him. His breath was hot and foul. "Peace?" DRA repeated with disgust. "You don't even understand the meaning of the word." All around them, alien delegates shifted nervously. Some began backing away, sensing what was coming. Jack tried once more. "Perhaps we can continue this discussion later?" But before he could finish, DRA spat. A thick green fluid hit Jack's face and ran down his cheek. The hall gasped. Lisa froze. Jack wiped the slime away slowly. Every muscle in his body screamed to react, but he didn't. His voice was quiet when he spoke. "In my culture," he said evenly, "that would be considered extremely rude." What Jack didn't know was that in Vicari culture, spitting on someone wasn't an insult. It was a declaration of war. DRA smiled, a wide, tooth-filled grin. "The Vicari Empire does not negotiate with lesser beings," he said coldly. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared across the hall. Red lights flashed. The conclave speaker's calm voice turned into static panic. "Alert! Vicari ships emerging from hyperspace. They are attacking." The floor shook violently. A massive explosion echoed through the station. The walls trembled as debris fell from the ceiling. Alien delegates screamed and ran for cover. Lisa grabbed Jack's arm. "Captain, the Vicari are firing on our ship." Jack's mind raced. "This was planned," he said. "They wanted this." He tapped his communicator. "All Earth personnel evacuate immediately. This is not a drill." Smoke filled the corridors as humans ran toward their shuttle. The sound of more explosions followed, one after another, like a heartbeat of destruction. As they reached the escape bay, Lisa turned to Jack. "What just happened? We didn't provoke them." Jack looked back at the burning hull. They think we're weak, he said quietly. Then his eyes hardened. But they'll soon learn what humans really are. The ship's engines roared to life. Outside the window, 3 Vicari warships loomed, massive and deadly. But inside that small human ship, something far more dangerous was awakening. Not hatred. Not revenge. Something older. Something human. Collision. They had broken the one rule the galaxy should never forget. Never anger humans. The escape shuttle broke free from the burning station, diving through clouds of fire and debris. Behind it, the galactic conclave, once a symbol of peace, was now a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered glass. Captain Jack Harrison gripped the armrest, watching the stars spin outside the viewport. His jaw was tight. He could still hear the screams, the explosions, the betrayal. Beside him, Lisa Daniels struggled to steady her breathing. They attacked without warning, she said, voice trembling. They destroyed the conclave. Hundreds of lives, gone. Jack's eyes stayed fixed on the distant flashes of battle. They didn't just attack, he said quietly. They made an example. The shuttle's AI voice broke the silence. Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Defense Command. Jack nodded. Put it through. The image of Admiral Ross flickered on the screen. The older man's face was grim, lit by the red glow of alert lights. Captain Harrison, we've received word. The Vicari have declared war on Earth. Their fleets are already moving toward the Mars colonies. Jack's stomach twisted. How many ships? Too many, the Admiral said. They've sent an entire battle group. The Conclave is calling it a human provocation. We're on our own. Silence filled the cabin. The galaxy had turned its back on humanity. Hours later, the shuttle landed on Luna Base Titan, the Earth Defense Fleet's command center on the moon. The massive domes sparkled against the black void, protected by energy shields and cannons. As Jack stepped out, soldiers saluted. But he didn't feel pride, only the weight of what was coming. Lisa followed him through the metallic corridors. Sir, what's our next move? Jack looked up at the holographic map of the solar system. Red dots, Vicari ships. We're moving toward Mars fast. We fight, he said simply. Lisa hesitated. But we're outnumbered, outgunned, and no one will help us. Jack turned to her. His eyes were cold but calm. Then we do what humans always do when the universe thinks we're finished. He leaned closer. We adapt. The birth of Task Force Phoenix. In the next few days, Luna Base became a storm of activity. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked side by side. Jack formed a special operations unit, Task Force Phoenix, a hand-picked team built for speed, creativity, and survival. Their mission was simple: hit the enemy where it hurts the most. Lisa coordinated intelligence. She analyzed Vicari battle patterns, learning how their ships communicated and where their weak spots might be. Human engineers began modifying old ships, turning mining vessels into war machines. Cannons were welded onto cargo freighters, armor reinforced with asteroid metal. Ugly, one mechanic said, but deadly. Jack smiled. That's the human way. The attack on Mars orbit. 3 days later, the first Vicari fleet entered Mars orbit. Their ships were enormous, black and gold, shaped like blades cutting through space. On the Martian colony, civilians ran for shelters. The sky above turned red with fire as Vicari bombers rained plasma. From Luna Base, Jack watched through the command center's main screen. Status report, he barked. Lisa's voice was steady. They're targeting the colony reactors. If they hit them, Mars is gone. Jack clenched his fists. Launch Phoenix Squadron. Within seconds, 12 human ships shot out of the moon's shadow, small, fast, and packed with experimental weapons. They didn't look like much next to the Vicari destroyers, but they had something the aliens didn't expect: human unpredictability. As the ships approached Mars, the Vicari fleet opened fire. Streams of blue plasma sliced through space. One human ship exploded instantly. But the rest kept coming. Target their communication arrays. Jack ordered through comms. Phoenix Squadron spread out, dodging plasma bolts. Missiles streaked from their hulls, smashing into the Vicari ship's sensors. One by one, enemy radar screens went dark. Lisa shouted from her console, "They're blind, Captain." Jack smiled faintly. Then let's make them regret looking down on us. He armed the rail cannons. The modified freighters fired, long streaks of tungsten rounds cutting through the void. One Vicari cruiser exploded in a flash of blue fire. The rest of the alien ships turned in shock. Inside the Vicari flagship, General DRA watched the battle from his command throne. His golden eyes narrowed. "Impossible," he hissed. They were not supposed to fight back so soon. His officer stammered, "The humans have adapted, sir." DRA slammed a clawed hand on the console. "Then crush them before they adapt further." But it was too late. The human counterstrike. Jack's fleet dove through the debris field, launching a second wave. Small drones swarmed around the Vicari ships, attaching EMP charges. The explosions crippled enemy shields. Lisa's voice echoed through the bridge. 2 destroyers down. 1 retreating. For the first time since the war began, the humans were winning. Jack stood tall at the center of the command deck, the light of the explosions reflecting in his eyes. "Message to all units," he said. "Let them know Earth still stands." The comms officer nodded. "Broadcasting now, sir." All across the colonies the message played. "This is Captain Jack Harrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. Humanity is under attack, but we will not kneel. To every soldier, every worker, every soul, fight back. Show them who we are." Cheers erupted across Luna Base. For the first time there was hope. Aftermath. Hours later, the Vicari fleet retreated beyond Mars orbit. The price had been high, 7 human ships lost, hundreds dead. But the victory meant everything. Lisa approached Jack as he stared at the burning remains of the enemy ships on the screen. "We did it," she said softly. "We actually did it." Jack nodded slowly. "This was just the beginning. DRA will come back stronger." She frowned. "Then what do we do?" Jack looked out at the stars. "We prepare. We learn. And when they come again." He paused, his voice low and calm. "We make them wish they hadn't." Far across the galaxy, in the cold darkness of the Vicari war room, General DRA watched the footage of his destroyed ships. His claws dug into the table. "Humans," he growled. "They fight like demons." The Supreme Commander turned toward him. "Do you regret attacking them?" DRA's eyes glowed. "No," he said softly. "But I begin to understand why others feared them." The screen faded to black, but the war had only begun. The stars over Earth burned quietly, unaware that a storm was growing among them. Across the solar system, every human outpost was preparing for war. Factories worked through the night. Engineers modified freighters into battleships. Miners on asteroids melted metal for armor plating. Even scientists who once built telescopes were now building weapons. Humanity was changing. After the Battle of Mars, Captain Jack Harrison became a symbol, not of victory but of defiance. His message had spread through every colony. They wanted war. "We'll show them what humans can do." The words echoed in every soldier's mind. The war room. Luna Base Titan hummed with energy. Screens covered every wall, displaying Vicari movements and human ship production. Jack stood at the center table with Lisa Daniels and a team of commanders. Lisa zoomed in on a holographic star map. "Vicari fleets are gathering here, near the asteroid belt. They're waiting for reinforcements." Jack crossed his arms. "They're regrouping. They think we'll hide and lick our wounds." "Maybe we should," said one young officer. "We've lost 7 ships, Captain. We can't take another full assault." Jack looked around the table. "If we wait, they'll hit Earth next. We don't have that luxury." Lisa's voice cut in, calm and firm. "We can't outgun them, but we can outsmart them." Jack's lips curved into a small smile. "That's the spirit." He tapped the hologram. "They want to fight like it's a war of strength. We'll make it a war of intelligence." Project Ghostlight. In a secret hangar under the moon's surface, engineers were testing something new, something impossible. A captured Vicari fighter sat on the platform, its metallic skin glowing faintly. Human engineers walked around it, taking notes. One of them, Dr. Asha Raman, approached Jack and Lisa. "This ship was disabled near Mars," she explained. "We studied its engine. It uses quantum pulse drives, far beyond our tech. But we've learned how to copy the basics." Lisa frowned. "You're saying we can build one?" "Not yet," Dr. Raman said with a small smile. "But we can improve it." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Improve alien technology?" She nodded. "Humans don't invent perfection. We invent chaos and make it work." A week later, the first prototype ship was ready, sleek, fast, and almost invisible to sensors. They named it Ghostlight. Jack walked around it slowly. "How does it hide from radar?" Dr. Raman grinned. "It doesn't. It bends radar around itself. A trick we borrowed from alien stealth tech, and made better." Lisa whispered, "If this works, we can strike them before they even see us." Jack's voice turned cold. "Then let's give them a reason to fear the dark." The Vicari trap. News came that the Vicari fleet was setting a blockade near the mining colonies of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Thousands of human workers were trapped there. Jack's team gathered in the war room again. Lisa pointed at the red dots on the screen. They're cutting off our supply lines. If Europa falls, Earth loses half its resources. Jack leaned forward. How many ships do we have? 5 fully armed. 2 cargo refits. And, she paused, the ghost light. Jack nodded. That'll be enough. Everyone stared. Enough? They have 20 ships, one officer said. Jack's eyes were cold. They think we'll fight fair. Battle of Europa. Darkness surrounded the icy moon. The Vicari fleet floated in formation, waiting for human ships to make a desperate move. Inside the flagship, General DRA watched the silent space before him. Let them come, he said. Let them throw their toys at us. But something strange began happening. Radar screens flickered. Signals disappeared. The Vicari ships couldn't detect anything. Sir, an officer hissed, our sensors are failing. Then, out of nowhere, a beam of light tore through space. One Vicari destroyer exploded instantly. Where did it come from? DRA shouted. Another explosion followed. And another. The Vicari ships fired wildly into the dark. But there was nothing to hit. Hidden in the shadows, the ghost light moved like a ghost indeed, silent, invisible, deadly. Lisa's voice came through comms, calm and sharp. Target locked. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A burst of plasma shot across space, striking another Vicari ship. Jack's fleet attacked from the other side, using the chaos to their advantage. Keep moving. Jack shouted. Don't give them time to think. The battle raged on for nearly an hour. One by one, the Vicari ships fell, their mighty formation turned into drifting wreckage. Finally, DRA's flagship was hit. The explosion lit the moon's icy surface in a burning reflection. From his escape pod, DRA watched the human ships disappear into the darkness. His voice trembled with fury. They hide like cowards. But deep down, even he knew the truth, they weren't hiding. They were hunting. The discovery. After the battle, Jack and Lisa landed on Europa's main base. The survivors cheered as they stepped out of their ship. A young miner ran to Jack. Captain. We thought we were dead. Jack smiled softly. Not today. Lisa was scanning a Vicari wreck nearby. Her face turned serious. Sir, you need to see this. Inside the destroyed ship they found metal cages, and inside them, other aliens. Thin, weak, beaten creatures who looked nothing like soldiers. Jack knelt down. Who are you? One of them, a small being with silver skin, whispered, prisoners. The Vicari use us for labor. They destroy our worlds. Jack's fists clenched. How many? Thousands, the alien said. Across their empire. Lisa looked at Jack. They've been enslaving whole species. Jack stood slowly. His expression hardened. They call us monsters, he said. But they're the real ones. He turned to his crew. We came here to save our people. Now we fight for every world they've crushed. A message to the galaxy. That night, Jack recorded a message, not to Earth but to everyone in the galaxy. The video showed the freed aliens, the ruins of the Vicari ships, and Jack standing in front of the burning horizon. To all species living in fear, he said. We are humanity. We were attacked, betrayed, and left to die. But we are still here. We don't fight for conquest. We fight for freedom, ours and yours. The Vicari think they own the stars. Let's remind them who truly belongs here. The message spread faster than light. Across hundreds of systems, enslaved races heard those words and began to whisper a name, humans. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt something new. Hope. Closing scene. Lisa watched Jack from the observation deck as the human fleet prepared for its next mission. Do you really think others will join us? She asked. Jack didn't look away from the stars. They already have. They just needed someone to start the fire. He turned slightly, his eyes reflecting the blue glow of the engines. The Vicari thought they'd scare us. But all they did was wake humanity's fury. As the ships launched into the void, the voiceover echoed. Collision, the galaxy called us violent. Now it will call us victorious. The stars no longer looked peaceful. Every night, Earth's skies burned with the light of distant battles. Red flares, white explosions, and silent flashes that told stories of victory and loss. Humanity was no longer the frightened newcomer of the galaxy. They had become something else. Something the Vicari Empire had never faced before. Across every colony, men and women trained with one purpose, to fight back. Factories never slept. Warships rolled off orbital docks one after another, painted with the same words on their hulls. Never again. The plan of revenge. Inside the command chamber of Luna Base Titan, Captain Jack Harrison stood before a giant holographic map. Red symbols showed Vicari worlds, each one responsible for enslaving other species. Lisa Daniels and her new tactical officer, Sergeant Cole Ramirez, stood beside him. Lisa spoke first. We've tracked Vicari supply lines. Their fleets are stretched thin. If we strike their fuel depots, their war effort collapses. Cole added, their ships depend on plasma cores harvested from the moons of Carthos. Without that, they're blind in space. Jack nodded slowly. Then Carthos is our next target. Lisa frowned. It's deep inside their territory. The fleet might not make it back. Jack looked up at the glowing stars on the map. Then we'll hit hard, disappear, and make sure they never forget the name human. The journey to Carthos. The fleet moved like a shadow through space. Task Force Phoenix, 10 ships strong. At its heart was Jack's flagship, the Erebus, once a cargo hauler, now a heavily armed war cruiser. Inside the bridge, the crew moved with silent focus. Every light, every sound mattered. Lisa watched the sensors. No Vicari patrols so far. Jack replied, they'll come. They always do. For a few hours, there was only the hum of the engines. Then the alarm sounded. Contacts ahead, shouted Cole. 3 Vicari destroyers on intercept course. Jack's voice was calm. Battle stations. We knew this wouldn't be easy. The ships shifted into formation. The Erebus's cannons charged with blue energy. Fire. Space erupted in chaos. Plasma bolts streaked across the void, tearing through metal. One human ship took a hit and exploded into bright fragments. Lisa gritted her teeth. They're trying to flank us. Jack barked. Ghostlight, take the rear. The invisible ship faded into the dark and reappeared behind the enemy line, firing torpedoes into the Vicari engines. 2 enemy ships went silent. The third turned to flee. Jack watched coldly. No survivors. The railgun fired once, clean, silent, final. Carthos burns. When the human fleet reached the Carthos system, they found what they were looking for, a massive orbital station surrounded by fuel silos and Vicari war factories. Lisa's eyes widened. That's half their supply chain, sir. If we destroy it. Jack finished her sentence. They starve. He stood up. All units, prepare for attack. As the ships descended from hyperspace, alarms screamed through the Vicari station. Fighters launched in panic. But humanity had learned the art of war, their way. The Erebus opened fire, unleashing a storm of railgun shells. Cargo ships, refitted with makeshift cannons, joined the assault. Drones spread out, dropping bombs into the station's weak points. Explosions lit up the entire system. The sky over Carthos turned red. Lisa shouted over the comms, secondary silos destroyed. Their shields are collapsing. Cole whooped, they never saw it coming. But Jack's face stayed grim. We're not done yet. Prepare the Nova Drive. Lisa's eyes widened. Sir, that's experimental. We could do it. The Nova Drive was a prototype weapon powered by stolen Vicari plasma cores. When fired, it released a blast strong enough to shatter a small moon. Lisa hesitated, then nodded. Charging Nova Drive. Seconds later, a white beam erupted from the Erebus's cannon, cutting through the station like a blade through glass. The explosion that followed blinded sensors across 3 star systems. When the light faded, Carthos was gone. Nothing remained but burning fragments drifting through the void. The cost. Cheers erupted across the fleet. Humans had done the impossible again. But victory came with a price. From the back of the formation, Lisa's ship, the Aurora, suddenly went silent. Captain? Cole shouted. The Aurora took debris from the explosion. Reactors unstable. Jack's heart froze. Lisa, report. Her face appeared on the comm screen. Smoke filled her cabin. Behind her, sparks rained from broken consoles. Jack, she coughed, trying to smile. You did it. Carthos is finished. Hold on, Jack said urgently. We'll get you out. She shook her head. Reactors overloading. If I eject now, the debris field will hit the fleet. I can't risk it. Jack's voice cracked. That's an order, Lisa. You're not dying out there. She gave a weak laugh. You always did hate losing people. The warning sirens blared louder on her ship. She looked straight at the screen, her eyes steady. Tell Earth, we fought with everything we had. And then, the Aurora exploded. The flash was silent, but it tore through Jack's soul. The bridge went quiet. No one spoke. Only the sound of distant static filled the air. Cole whispered, "She saved us." Jack didn't answer. His fists tightened. His eyes, once calm, now burned with rage. He turned slowly to his crew. "Prepare the message. The Vicari will know what they've done." The message. Hours later, a transmission was sent across every known system. It showed Jack standing on the bridge, the fire of Carthos reflected in his eyes. "To the Vicari Empire," he said, his voice cold as ice. "You call us primitive. You call us violent. You're right. You killed our people. You destroyed our friends. Now you'll learn what happens when humanity fights without mercy. You wanted monsters. You found them." He stared directly into the camera. "This is Captain Jack Harrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. We are coming for you." Echoes of fear. In the dark chambers of the Vicari High Command, General DRA watched the message replay again and again. He had won many wars, crushed countless enemies, but something about this human terrified him. "Destroying Carthos crippled our supply lines," one commander whispered. "They shouldn't have had that power." DRA's claws dug into the metal table. "Power doesn't scare me. Their will does." The Supreme Commander turned toward him. "Then what do you suggest, General?" DRA's golden eyes flickered with something close to fear. "We kill him. We kill the human before his kind becomes unstoppable. The flame that cannot die." Back on Luna Base, Jack stood alone in the observation deck, staring at the distant stars. Lisa's empty chair haunted him. He whispered softly, "You said we were here to make friends, not enemies. I guess that's still true. We just haven't found the right ones yet." A soldier entered quietly. "Sir, we've picked up new signals from other species. They say they want to join us. The message you sent, it worked." Jack turned, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Join us?" "Yes, sir. The enslaved races. They're rebelling. They're calling it the human spark." Jack nodded slowly. "Then let's give them something worth following." He looked out at the stars one last time before walking toward the war room. "Lisa," he said under his breath, "they'll pay for every life they've taken." And with that, the human fleet began to move again, not for survival but for vengeance. Collision. The fire had been lit, and this time, it would burn across the stars. The galaxy was no longer quiet. After the destruction of Carthos, whispers of the human spark spread faster than light. Across alien worlds, prisoners and slaves heard the same name, humans. The species that fought back. The ones who defied an empire. The ones who refused to kneel. For the first time in centuries, the Vicari Empire felt something unfamiliar: fear. Rising resistance. On the jungle world of Tverin, a small group of insectoid workers gathered around a stolen communicator. The hologram of Captain Jack Harrison appeared, his voice calm but powerful. "You are not alone. The Vicari want you to believe they own the stars. But the stars belong to those who dare to fight for them." The aliens exchanged nervous looks. Then one of them, a tall creature with green mandibles, stepped forward. "We will fight," it said quietly. "For freedom. For revenge." The message spread. Soon dozens of worlds rose in rebellion. Slave ships were seized. Mines were destroyed. The Empire began to bleed from 1,000 cuts. From his war room on Luna Base Titan, Jack watched the reports come in. Lisa's name was still etched on the wall beside him, a silent reminder of what they had lost. "Sir," said Cole Ramirez, "uprisings are spreading faster than we expected. The Vicari can't control them all." Jack nodded. "Good. The more they chase, the weaker their grip." He turned to the map, eyes locked on the center of Vicari power, Draxus Prime, the enemy's homeworld. "That's where it ends," he whispered. Inside the enemy's throne room. Far away, in the towering palace of Draxus Prime, General DRA stood before the Supreme Commander and the High Council. Smoke filled the hall from burning incense, and the walls pulsed with red light, the same color as Vicari blood. "The humans must be eliminated," DRA said sharply. "They are uniting the weak. Their message is poison." The Supreme Commander leaned forward. "You said they were primitives." DRA's claws tightened. "They were. But something changed. They learn too fast. They adapt. They fight like they were born for it." Another council member hissed. "So what do you propose?" DRA's golden eyes burned. "We crush them completely. Their fleet, their home, their world. We burn Earth itself." The council murmured in approval. But the Supreme Commander raised one claw. "You have failed to destroy them before, General. This time you will not command alone." A tall figure stepped from the shadows, armor black as night, eyes glowing crimson. "This," the commander said, "is Admiral Kor, leader of the Shadow Fleet. He will lead the assault." Dure's pride flared, but he bowed his head. "As you wish." A signal in the dark. Back on Luna Base, a faint transmission interrupted the human fleet's preparations. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're receiving a message. It's coded in an alien language." Jack frowned. "Decode it." A moment later, a hologram flickered to life, a small amphibian alien, battered and bleeding. "Humans, this is Counselor Vereen of the Galactic Conclave. I bring information. The Vicari are planning to attack your homeworld. They will strike Earth within a week." Jack's jaw tightened. "How do we know you're telling the truth?" "Because I helped them plan it," Vereen said bitterly. "And I can help you stop it." Silence filled the room. Cole leaned closer. "Sir, it could be a trap." Jack nodded slowly. "Or it could be our only chance." He turned back to the hologram. "Then help us. Tell us where they'll come from. The trap within the trap." According to Vereen, the Vicari fleet would pass through the Theta Corridor, a narrow stretch of unstable spacetime used for hyperspace travel. Jack studied the data. "If we hit them here, the gravity wells will tear them apart. But if we miss by even a few seconds," Cole finished, "we're the ones who get shredded." Jack looked around the room. "Then we make it count." Preparing for the impossible. For the next 4 days, humanity worked without rest. Engineers recalibrated engines, loaded torpedoes, and programmed AI drones. Every ship received one message from Jack. "We fight not for revenge but for survival. For every colony lost, for every friend gone, for every world enslaved, we fight today." The Erebus led the charge. Cole stood beside Jack on the bridge. "Do you think Lisa would be proud of this?" Jack smiled faintly. "She'd probably call it suicide." Cole laughed softly. "Then let's make sure it's worth it." The Battle of the Corridor. At the edge of the Theta Corridor, space itself shimmered like a storm. Gravity waves twisted reality into strange shapes. The human fleet waited in silence. "Multiple signatures incoming," the sensor officer reported. "Vicari ships, hundreds of them." Jack's voice was steady. "Hold position." Through the viewport, the first Vicari ships emerged from hyperspace, massive, armored beasts glowing red under the stars. Admiral Kor's voice echoed through open comms. "Human fleet detected. Eradicate them." The Vicari opened fire. Energy blasts filled the void, streaking like lightning. Jack shouted, "Now! Activate the gravity nets." The human ships dropped hundreds of gravity mines into the corridor. Space bent, twisted, and screamed. Several Vicari ships vanished instantly, crushed by invisible forces. But the rest kept coming. Cole yelled, "They're pushing through." Jack clenched his fists. "Then we push harder." The Erebus's railguns thundered. Drones weaved between enemy cruisers, detonating inside their shields. A Vicari battleship rammed a human frigate, breaking it in half. The explosion lit up the corridor. "Reactor breach on the Helios." "They're gone," someone shouted. Jack gritted his teeth. "Hold the line." The fleet fought for hours. The stars burned white from the energy discharges. Finally, as Admiral Kor's flagship moved forward, Jack saw his chance. Target the flagship's core. Lisa's words echoed in his mind, "We're here to make friends, not enemies." He whispered, "Not anymore." The Erebus fired all weapons at once. The blast pierced Kor's ship straight through. The explosion ripped across the corridor, sending shockwaves through space. When the light faded, silence returned. Only 6 human ships remained. But the Vicari fleet was gone. Aftermath. Cole slumped in his chair, exhausted. "We did it, they're finished." Jack didn't smile. "No. DRA is still alive. Until he's gone, this war isn't over." A faint beep interrupted him. "Incoming message, sir. From Earth." The hologram of the United Earth Council appeared. "Captain Harrison, you've done the impossible. The galaxy is watching. Rebellions are spreading. We're sending reinforcements. It's time to end this." Jack stared at the stars, their light reflecting in his eyes. "Then we take the fight to DRA himself." He turned to his crew. "Set course for Draxus Prime. This is humanity's turning point." In the shadows. Far across the galaxy, in the burning halls of Draxus Prime, General DRA watched the battle reports with silent rage. Thousands of ships gone. Billions of credits lost. And yet the humans still lived. He crushed the data tablet in his claws. "You think you've won, Jack Harrison?" he growled. but you've only shown me your strength. Now I know how to break it. Outside, the night sky of Draxus glowed with distant fire. Inside, the Vicari Empire prepared its last weapon, something ancient and forbidden. And in the silence of space, humanity prepared to meet it. Collision. The galaxy was no longer divided between conquerors and slaves. Now, it was divided between those who feared humanity and those who followed them. The stars over Draxus Prime burned red. From orbit, the planet looked like a wound, dark clouds twisting around a blood-colored sea. For centuries, the Vicari Empire had ruled from here. Now, humanity was coming for it. Captain Jack Harrison stood on the bridge of the Erebus, staring at the planet through the viewport. His reflection looked older, harder. The lines on his face told stories of every friend lost and every battle survived. Behind him, Sergeant Cole Ramirez adjusted his armor. "Fleet's ready, sir. Every ship we've got, even some alien ones. The rebels call it the Coalition of the Free." Jack nodded slowly. "Then it's time." The calm before the storm. The fleet stretched across space like a sea of stars, hundreds of ships, human and alien, side by side. Small vessels from freed worlds, insectoid scouts, amphibian cruisers, even old conclave ships, all bore one symbol now, a burning star, the mark of humanity's resistance. Jack looked around the bridge. "Open a channel to all ships." A few clicks later, his voice echoed across the fleet. "This is Captain Jack Harrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. Today we face the heart of the beast, the empire that enslaved millions, that spat on peace, that declared war on humanity." He paused, letting the silence hang. "We've lost friends. We've lost worlds. But we never lost who we are. We are the ones who stand when others fall. We are the ones who fight when hope is gone." Cole whispered, "They're listening." Jack continued, his voice steady and calm. "They called us monsters. Maybe they were right. Because monsters don't stop. And today we end this." A cheer rolled through the fleet. Engines flared to life. "Prepare for descent," Jack ordered. "All ships, attack formation. The final battle begins." The Vicari defense grid opened fire the moment the fleet appeared in orbit. Blue and red beams streaked through space, colliding in brilliant explosions. Human dreadnoughts pushed forward, shields glowing under heavy fire. Alien fighters danced between Vicari cruisers, striking engines and power cores. The Erebus charged straight into the chaos. Cole gritted his teeth. "They're throwing everything they have at us." Jack's voice was calm. "Then we throw it back." Railguns thundered. Torpedoes tore through enemy hulls. The void became a storm of fire. A Vicari battleship locked onto them. Its cannon charged, glowing like a small sun. "Evasive!" Cole shouted. Too late. The blast struck the Erebus, shaking it violently. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. "Damage to shields." "Reactor overheating," cried the engineer. Jack gripped the console. "Hold together, old girl. Just a little longer." Landing on Draxus Prime. Through the smoke, a massive structure appeared on the planet's surface. The Obsidian Spire, the Vicari Command Fortress. "That's where DRA will be," Jack said. "Take us down." The fleet broke through the atmosphere, ships trailing fire as they entered the stormy sky. Lightning crackled around them. The Erebus descended with 3 escort ships, landing amid the ruins of a Vicari city. Soldiers poured out, forming ranks in the red dust. Cole tightened his helmet. "Feels like hell, sir." Jack looked at the burning horizon. "That's because it is." The Obsidian Spire. The fortress towered above them, black stone, spiked towers and rivers of molten metal flowing like veins through its walls. Jack led the assault team forward, plasma rifle in hand. Every step echoed through the silence. Then the ground shook. Vicari soldiers emerged from the shadows, tall, scaled warriors, claws gleaming. Cole raised his weapon. "Here they come." The air exploded with fire and smoke. Blaster shots lit up the hallways. Humans and rebels fought side by side, moving like one unstoppable force. Jack fired, reloaded, moved again. He didn't think, he just acted. Every fallen friend, every lost ship, it all came down to this moment. They fought through corridor after corridor, until they reached a massive throne room filled with flickering red light. At its center stood General DRA. The confrontation. DRA looked exactly as Jack remembered, tall, armored, eyes burning yellow. "So," DRA said, his translator growling the words. "The ape who defied an empire finally comes to die." Jack lowered his weapon. "You've killed enough for 1,000 lifetimes, DRA. It ends today." DRA laughed, a deep, rumbling sound. You think destroying me will change anything? You humans spread like disease. You destroy everything you touch. Jack took a slow step forward. Maybe. But we build too. We build hope out of ashes. You never understood that. DRA roared and lunged forward. The two collided in a storm of blows. DRA's claws tore through Jack's armor. Jack's rifle shattered against the alien's scales. Cole fired from behind, but DRA swung his tail, sending him flying into a wall. Jack fell, coughing blood. DRA loomed over him, claws raised. You are nothing, DRA hissed. Just flesh and noise. Jack smiled weakly. Funny, that's what they said about us on Earth too. Then he pressed a button on his wrist. A faint beeping echoed through the room. DRA's eyes widened. What did you? You taught us war, Jack said softly. Now we teach you what it costs. The charge detonated. A wave of light tore through the spire, collapsing towers and shattering walls. The sacrifice. When the dust settled, the fortress was burning. The sky glowed with falling debris. Cole stumbled through the rubble, coughing. Jack. Captain. He found Jack pinned under a beam of metal, his armor scorched, his face pale. Don't move, Cole said, trying to lift it. We'll get you out. Jack shook his head. No time. The spire's reactor is going critical. You have to go. Cole's eyes filled with tears. Not without you. Jack smiled faintly. You'll have to. Someone needs to lead them now. He pressed something into Cole's hand, his command insignia, scorched but intact. Tell them, Jack coughed. Tell them humanity kept its promise. Cole shook his head. Sir, please? Jack's voice was barely a whisper. We came here to make friends, not enemies. But if they force us to fight, we finish it. Cole saluted, his eyes burning. Yes, sir. He turned and ran as the structure began to collapse. Behind him, Jack looked up one last time at the burning sky. Lisa, he whispered, we did it. The explosion consumed the spire. A new dawn. Days later the smoke cleared. The Vicari Empire was gone. Their fleets destroyed. Their worlds free. Across the galaxy, the once enslaved species celebrated their liberation. And in orbit above Draxus Prime, a single ship, the Erebus II, carried a new flag. A silver star on a black field, surrounded by 7 smaller stars, one for every world that had joined humanity's cause. Cole Ramirez stood on the bridge, wearing Jack's insignia. A young officer approached. Sir, the Council wants to name this alliance. They're calling it the United Systems of Soul. Cole smiled. Jack would have liked that. He turned toward the window, watching the sunrise over Draxus. He believed we could be more than warriors, Cole said softly. He was right. But he also proved, no one should ever mistake our kindness for weakness. The officer nodded. What now, sir? Cole's eyes hardened. Now we rebuild. And we remember. He looked at the glowing horizon, the first dawn over a free galaxy. Humans don't start wars, he said quietly. But we end them. Epilogue, the legacy of fire. Years later, in a quiet museum on Earth, a small child stood before a cracked piece of metal. The plaque read, Fragment of the Obsidian.